Deer hunting in areas with significant topography poses some unique challenges. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or just getting started, understanding how topography affects how you're going to hunt and deer behavior is key. In this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know to hunt deer in hilly terrain. Hunting in hilly terrain requires strategy, knowledge of deer behavior, and a good awareness of your surroundings. So let's start with the most important factor, and that's understanding the lay of the land. Deer tend to follow the path of least resistance, which often means using natural features of the landscape to travel. So in hilly areas that's got a lot of terrain, you need to pay attention to saddles, ridges, benches, and draws. A saddle is a natural travel corridor because you've got two higher peaks with a lower one in the middle. So why would deer, or anybody for that matter, want to run up the steeper sides when they could go right up the middle where it's a nice gentler slope? Set up on these saddles with wind direction and approach in mind, but set up on these if you want to catch deer traveling from one side of a ridge to another. Those ridges are also critical because deer tend to travel and bed on the points of those, and during hunting season when it's cold out, those southern sides of those slopes get warmer faster, so deer are going to bed on those sides, so key in on those when it's cold out. And on those same ridges, or maybe on those same ridges, but on ridges in general, you may also, down the sides of those slopes find benches. Those benches, you got a steep slope, then it flattens out, and then it gets steep again, and those deer will travel along those benches, path of least resistance. They could travel along the top or they could travel along the side of it. It'll just take some experience, some years of service to get good at identifying these topography changes. So job one, if you're new to hunting in hilly terrain, is to get good at, or at least get passable at, identifying these topography changes on a topography map and identifying these while you're out there scouting. Hunting and scouting in hilly terrain also means you need to be in decent enough shape so you don't die out on the side of the hill in the middle of nowhere. So that brings us to this video's sponsor, Iron Infidel. Iron Infidel offers multiple products to help you on your fitness journey to being able to walk up that hill or drag your trophy buck out of the woods without having a heart attack. They offer everything from 10mm levered weightlifting belts to knee sleeves to help keep your knees supported during those leg days, resistance bands and wrist straps to help you push through those plateaus and keep you motivated during those hard sessions. They also have their battle bottle, which is either a 64 or 32 ounce stainless steel double-walled bottle that's got a sleeve over that's got multiple pouches to either keep your keys, your phone in while you're at the gym, or other things that you need to store while you're out there doing work on your farm, you're hunting, you're scouting, or any other place you need to carry some water with you to keep yourself hydrated. Check out the link down in the description below to get yourself some good weightlifting gear and help support the channel. And the second most important thing about hunting in hilly terrain is understanding how thermals and wind direction act in that specific area. This is probably one of the most frustrating and hardest things to get your head around when you're hunting in hilly terrain. In hilly terrain, wind patterns can be very unpredictable. In the mornings, as temperature rises, thermals are going to rise, and in the evenings, as temperature cools down, your thermals are going to sink. So what this means is in the mornings, the temperature heats up, your scent is going to go uphill, and in the evenings, air cools down, your scent is going to sink down in the bottoms. So understanding how thermals work can help you have less of a chance of deer smelling you in those areas. You kind of plan out where you want to hunt based on morning thermals and evening thermals. It sounds simple, but there's a further complication in that when you have specific wind directions or specific wind speeds, or this can change depending on like how high the temperature is supposed to get in the day. How quickly is it going to go from 20 to 40 or 40 back down to 20? It can change the rate of your scent, or if your scent is even going to follow that thermal pattern if the winds are strong. Wind direction can also be drastically different in a specific spot in hilly terrain than the general predominant wind direction. So a north wind can easily become an east or a west wind in a hilly terrain, just depending on how that topography rolls out. Definitely don't think that just because the wind is a specific direction back at the truck, or the forecast says it's supposed to be a west wind, that it is actually a west wind where you're going to hunt. You definitely want to make sure you have some kind of wind indicator, whether it's something like this, the dead down wind, where it's just or there's other ones, but a powder, puff of smoke out there. You could use milk pod seeds, or you can even use these new commercial products where it's like some kind of, I don't know, it looks like a little incense stick or something that puts out smoke the whole time. Never use those. You'll have to let me know how that works. But you want to have something that hangs in the air for a good while, because if it dissipates real quick, it's not going to give you a good indication, how your scent is really traveling. If it's goes only 5 feet from you and you can't see it anymore, it's probably not a good thing to use. You want something that's going to hang around for a little bit. And the third thing that you really need to keep in mind when you're hunting in hilly terrain is patience and timing. Hunting in hilly terrain often requires a lot more patience than hunting in ag country. Deer just aren't as visible as they are or predictable as they are in big flat ag country, but they definitely do move just as much as any other deer. Be prepared to sit longer and stay alert. Deer can pop up out of nowhere in hilly terrain and they can disappear just as quickly without you ever even knowing they were there. It can even be a bit demoralizing. I mean, you can hunt in ag country, see deer for miles, and even if you're nowhere near those deer to get a shot off, you know there's deer in the area. It gives you hope that all you need to do is make some adjustments and then you'll be in the game. Hunting in hilly terrain though, you can sit forever and not see a single deer, even though that there's deer moving consistently just over that next ridge 150 yards away, but you might as well think that there's no deer for miles. Stay patient, do your homework, find out where those deer might be traveling, where they might be feeding, where they might be bedding, and you will have just as much success as somebody that's hunting in big ag country. So that was 3 tips for hunting in hilly terrain. If you've got any more strategies you use to be successful out in the Ozarks, the big hilly terrain areas, make sure you leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.